Hi Ral, welcome back to another Drift Cars JP video. Today we've got an unveil. I've bought a new car. Because my channel, if you haven't seen any of my other videos, my channel is called Drift Cars JP, but I don't have any drift cars on it. It was actually an old company name that I had when I used to import drift cars back in 2001, 2002, back when drifting was not what it is today. It was a pretty small sort of scene, and I used to find the drift cars pretty cool, and that's what I used to sort of specialise in importing back in 2001, 2002. Mostly like S-chassis sort of stuff, Skylines and a few things like that. So here's what I've bought. Now,
I know the groove you need to meet a master. I had to, no one else can do it, no one faster. Expert with the tech, the heads will tell you what's next. I get in a state of flow, I know I'm on the apex. Take a big leap, no one can compete. I guess we wanna be fortified in what she said aside for the economy. A bad beat, back on the feet. I guess we wanna be, break the freckles off your face, changing your astronomy.
The 2003 Nissan Skyline 350 GT, and it's an automatic. Now, I wanted something. I haven't drifted for years. I only really played with it a little bit when I was in Japan. I didn't even do that much over there. The car I mainly had over there was a R32 GTR, so it wasn't really a drift car, but I did have a 180SX over there for a little while, which was a C18, and I wanted to get back into it. Now, I picked this up for $4,000. I've gone house with a friend of mine. He wants to get into the drifting. The most videos I watch on YouTube, like most people, is drifting, and I just do grip racing mostly, but I thought it's time to get something which I can drift and go and learn to drift better and get a bit better car control. So we picked this up for $4,000. It's got too much rego left on it. It's dead stock. I couldn't help myself. I've already had to throw some BBS reps on the front. I got a full set of these for $200. I've lowered the rear because the rear shocks were stuffed in it when I bought it. With a set of 350Z standard shocks and springs, which lowers the car about 1 inch in the rear, which you can see there. So it's lowered it a fair bit. I'm going to be using the stock Skyline wheels to learn to drift on. We'll just be starting off with some wet skid pan days. They're a 17-inch wheel. They're only 17 by 7.5, so they're only a sort of a small rim, but that's what we're going to start with. The car come with a pretty good set of tyres. They're a cheap brand, but they've got plenty of tread on them, so we're going to just burn them up first. And yeah, I've got a set of BBS replicas just to sit on the front. I thought it gives the car a bit more of a bit better styling. Like, they're not the most attractive Skyline, I must say, but I'm starting to sort of get into these because, for me, what I can sort of see at the moment, these are at the bottom of their price range. You're not going to get these any cheaper in the future. They're going to slowly start to creep up like everything else is doing. That's JDM. So jump on one of these. They're cheap. It's a 350, so it's got the same 3.5 litre V6 VQ series, which is in the 350Z. So parts and stuff are pretty easy to come by. This thing's got the typical worn front bushes on the front. So the lower control arm bushes, they're completely worn, so we're going to be replacing them. I'm going to put the 350Z shocks on the front as well, lower the front. It'll stiffen it right up. At the moment it's quite sort of soft. Like I said, it needs rear wheel bearings, it needs an exhaust. It's a bit too quiet for my liking. The interior wise isn't too bad. It's sort of just been used by someone as his sort of daily driver. Got to be wear on the steering wheel. Now, one of the most controversial things when I bought this, I got my mate to buy this without me going. I didn't really have the time to go and have a look at it. And I said, just get an auto one. We'll start off with that. Then we can just worry about car control and all that before we step up and change it to a manual or something like that. And then he brought the car out to show me one night, and I looked at it, and it's a CVT. I was like, I was hoping it was going to be like the proper 5-speed auto, like similar to what my 370 GT has in it, but it's a CVT. But I did a fair bit of reading on it, and since I've been driving this for about a week, I think the CVT will hold up all right. With stock power, we are going to weld the diff in it. I hope, like, when I shift this into first or second and hold it in those gears, it's got quite a bit of torque and it actually gets up and goes. Where the CVT lacks in is when it's just in auto mode, as you accelerate, it doesn't seem to use all of the engine's low down torque. It kind of slips and allows itself to sort of build up revs before it actually starts to really get like a sort of a lockup with the CVT, where it actually is starting to transmit all of its power to the rear end. But I think it's starting off as a drift car. I think it'll be fine. But we'll see. We'll go and do a wet skid pan day, see if we have any issues with this. Hopefully we don't overheat it or anything like that, because the auto oil in this is $499 for 4 litres, which I was like, wow, we only paid $4 grand for the car, and if we were to replace the auto oil, it's going to cost $1,000. So I had a bit of a look around, and it looks like we can do a manual conversion for around about 2 grand. So that might be, if we do blow up the CVT, we might throw a 6-speed manual in it. So we'll start it up. It's got 153,000 Ks on it. Seems to run pretty fine. We're going to change the oil and stuff like that obviously on it. The aircon, everything's nice and cool on it. I can't sort of fault the car too much with that. Like, it's got little marks on the steering wheel. It's got, this is called the CV8, so it's an 8-speed auto, which is the CVT auto. So I don't know why it needs 8 speeds, but that's what it's got. It's a non-sat nav model, so it doesn't have any of that in it, which is good for weight. The only thing which we might have to change on this is because it's got a foot brake on it. I was looking at getting like a manual handbrake to put it here, which is off like the 350Z or like a manual version of one of these. So we might delete this whole console and put a handbrake here. Or I was sort of thinking, that's obviously the cheaper option. Or I was sort of thinking of actually putting a proper handbrake in it as well, but that's going to cost me about $400 or $500 to buy the actual kit, plus then buy some rear calipers for it. So we might just go with, like I said, just put a normal handbrake in the car here to start with. But yeah, overall the interior's not sort of too bad anything. It's not like completely trashed or anything like that inside. We might strip the seats out of it, but I might just not care and not even worry about that, and we'll just drive it and have fun with the thing. Under the bonnet, dead stock 350. We're going to put just a pod filter on it just to get a bit of engine noise. I know it's not for performance or anything like that. It's reasonably clean. It's got a slight, I don't know if it's a rear main oil leak. I've had a sort of a quick look down the back there, but yeah, it's all there. Like, I can't sort of fault what you're getting for $4,000 is a lot of car for that sort of money. Yeah, sure, it's got a few cosmetic issues. The bars on it are sort of a bit scraped up on it. The paint's sort of dulled in places, like it needs a really good sort of buff and polish, but we're going to be using it as a drift car, so I don't really care. So we're just going to get in it, drive it, do a heap of skid pan days out at Eastern Creek, and just sort of learn a bit better car control with it. We are going to weld up the diff on the back, so we're going to pull the diff out when we do the rear wheel bearings, weld the diff up. We're going to delete the mid muffler in it and just put a small resonator. I don't know if you've seen on these, the mid resonator under the car of these, when I do it, I'll video it. It'd have to be half a meter long and about probably probably 30-40 centimeters wide. It's huge. It's just a big, huge, it literally sculpts around the actual tail shaft. It's that big. So we'll be deleting that because we want a bit more noise out of it. I like to hear the car, what it's doing while we're drifting it and giving it a bit of a hard time. So yeah, so I just thought I'd do a quick introduction. The next video, this is sort of to judge what sort of interest it is to what sort of stuff I'll actually show with the car. I'm based here in Sydney, so check out my other videos. Subscribe to the channel, give me a thumbs up on the video if you like what I'm doing. This is going to be done as cheap as possible. Like I said, I've got the wheels for $200. I bought the suspension front and rear for $200. The bushes, I bought white line lower control arm bushes for $50. And the exhaust, I bought a bunch of stuff and it's cost me about $90 so far. So I will do a few how-to videos, which is what I do with the other sort of stuff on the channel, and I'll show you how to do a full service on this. I'll show you how to change brakes and all that sort of stuff, so we'll do a video on that. And then I'll probably just do the build of the drift car like as a bit of a wrap-up video, like a, you know, sort of time-lapse stuff, real sort of quick, and just show us chucking the front springs in and all that sort of stuff, and then getting it ready to go drifting. We don't want to sort of, I don't want to spend hours and hours and hours on this thing getting it ready. I just want to weld the diff, do the front suspension, do the bushes, and get it out there and go drifting and start enjoying the thing. So yeah, so thanks for watching the video, and it's just a quick reveal of what I've bought. Like I said, I'm trying to keep this as cheap as possible, and if you're interested in getting into drifting and learning a little bit about it, I'm not an expert. I haven't barely done any drifting for years. My cousin who I've bought the car with, he's never drifted, so we're going to be going to a few drift lessons, showing him, and I'll probably revolve the series on this car a little bit around him and sort of showing from a beginner where to start and what you've got to sort of do to get into drifting. But a cheap car like this, I think, is a great way to get into it. I didn't want a Commodore or a Ford. I know you can buy them cheap. I kind of wanted just something that's Japanese. That's sort of just my love and passion. I like the Japanese imports, so that's what I wanted to get. And yeah, so we'll have a quick walk around the car, and yeah, you can check it out, and I'll wrap the video up there. And yeah, subscribe for future updates on the car.